All right, we're all good to go. So the first off, the topic on everybody's mind is the wind. So we have had a few reports of the wind damage, starting off at about 7 a.m. when our officers were called to the 800 block of Fisgard Street. Someone reported a tree fell on some overhead wires. So the officers attended, along with Victoria Fire Department, and determined that a branch from a tree did indeed fall on some lines, but they were able to determine that it was a cable television wire, not a power wire. So there was no danger. The proper repair people were called, and that was taken care of. The next call was received just a little later, and it was reporting a sailboat that had come loose from its moorings and was adrift in the gorge waterway. So the officers attended and ensured that there was nobody on board the vessel and in distress. The board had run aground and was now not a safety hazard in the waterway. So our officers attempted to contact the owner but were unsuccessful. Now the final weather-related incident, I checked on this, so this is the final one as of right now, took place at Discovery and Store Streets at 9 a.m. So our officers were called to the area there after a witness reported seeing construction material flying in the wind. So one of the items contacted some of the power lines and did cause a small explosion. Our officers surveyed the damage and it appeared that none of the power lines had been affected. Again, BC Hydro was notified, but our officers were able to leave the area. So we certainly want to remind drivers and pedestrians to be aware of their surroundings and the fact that debris can easily be picked up on a day like today and be blowing in the wind. So wind gusts are forecasted throughout the rest of the day today.
Do you have any assessment at all on damage to this sailboat?
No, I don't.
Is it a big one, small one?
It's a white sailboat. That is the description I have.
Is it one of the squatting boats?
I don't know. I was wondering that as well. I don't know if it just came loose, but the reporter said it come loose from its moorings, not from anchor, so I don't know what the reporter knows that I don't.
And on the construction material, any guesstimate of the size of pieces?
What it ended up contacting was, it looked like some fiberglass, like that aluminum foil fiberglass insulation stuff, had blown over and on top of it at that time, so. But I don't know if there was much else. I know there's people running around trying to collect stuff when we came. So reported this weekend, but just give you some new details of the bank robbery suspect that was arrested from the TD Bank robbery. So 34-year-old bank robbery suspect was arrested Saturday after stepping off the ferry onto the mainland. Delta Police assisted VicPD with the arrest of the robbery suspect around 6:30 p.m. The man, who is a parolee and was quickly identified as the robbery suspect, stepped off the ferry carrying a box with his name on the side. He was arrested without incident and will likely face a charge of robbery. Now, if you hadn't heard, earlier in the day, the TD Bank at 1080 Douglas Street was robbed. The man entered the bank just before 2:30 p.m., produced a note demanding money before fleeing with an undisclosed sum of cash. No weapon was produced during the robbery. So investigators were quickly able to identify the suspect in the robbery as a parolee who had been staying in the area. Officers checked the status of the halfway house where he was staying and learned that he had just left for the ferries. VicPD liaised with Delta and they were able to easily spot him unloading at the Tsawwassen terminal.
What kind of box has name on it?
A box of personal belongings that he had collected.
Any cash?
There was things recovered, but I can't get into the details of everything that was recovered. So.
And so, sorry, he was being released by the halfway house or something? Like they knew that he was leaving and going over to the mainland. He had a box of his stuff.
I don't know what the details were, if they knew he was leaving or if he just signed out for a bit or what the details around that were. So last week we talked about 3 separate stabbings that occurred. And there's a stabbing that happened at Douglas Street and Yates Street. Well, this weekend, VicPD arrested the man that we believed responsible for the stabbing that occurred at Douglas and Yates last weekend. View. Sorry, Douglas and View. Thank you, Michael. I will amend said release before I send it out. Randall Cardinal, 31 years old, was arrested Saturday for the stabbing that occurred a week prior. Cardinal and the victim became embroiled in a verbal dispute at approximately 10 p.m. last weekend. As this argument escalated, Cardinal allegedly stabbed the 27-year-old man in the back. VicPD had identified Cardinal as a suspect early in the investigation, but had been unable to locate him until the weekend. Cardinal was held in custody, and is being charged with assault causing bodily harm and assault with a weapon. Cardinal's next court appearance is March 15th.
You know where you guys took him into custody?
I don't know where we took him into custody, no.
Assault causing bodily harm and,
Assault with a weapon.
was it a, what kind of knife was it?
I don't know.
And he's known to please?
Yes.
And is this the one that was also over a woman?
Yes. All three last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like, was it outside on the street?
It was outside of McDonald's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a chaotic scene for VicPD officers in the hotel stabbing that we went to. So VicPD officers were called to the Capital City Center Hotel on Thursday for reports of a woman running around and threatening people with a knife. Just after 8 p.m., VicPD received a 911 call reporting a woman banging on a door to a suite on the 4th floor and yelling and brandishing a knife. When officers arrived at 1961 Douglas Street, they were told someone had been injured on a fight on the 4th floor. As they approached the suite in question, a woman fled, and officers noted blood on the walls and on the floor. Officers entered the suite and found a distraught man who was the victim of the suspect's rage. He had been able to fend off her attack, and she had left the suite just prior to police arriving. Officers located the suspect, who was a 39-year-old Victoria woman, in an adjacent suite. She had suffered a minor injury in the scuffle and was arrested without incident. She was taken to the hospital for medical attention. The suspect was held in court for morning court with charges recommended of assault with a weapon. Now, I want to bring this case to your attention because it highlights the amount of front-end work that incidents like these take for police. So within 2 hours of this file being called in, 17 VicPD officers had a hand in working on it. From scene containment to interviews, investigations to photographs, officers are tasked with numerous jobs to ensure that a case like this gets to the courts with the best possible facts.
So do we have charge approval and a name then?
Not yet, no. I think it was morning court, but I don't think that information has made its way right over to us yet. All right. The last one I got for today is caution on the roads urged for the Monday after time change. So today is the first Monday after the time change, and it's one of the highest collision dates of the year. Police are reminding the sleep-deprived to stay alert and on the roads. A study by the British Columbia Automobile Association reports that 23% more crashes happen on the Monday after the time change. The study also shows that fatigue impairs brain functions as much as alcohol. Fatigue reduces the ability to respond quickly and accurately behind the wheel. So as of right now, VicPD has had only one collision reported to us. However, at 7:30 this morning, our officers were called to Douglas and Hillside for a man that was asleep behind the wheel. A BC Transit driver found the man asleep at the intersection in his Ford Explorer. The driver, a 29-year-old Victoria man, also turned out to be a prohibited driver. So he is now facing a charge of driving while prohibited.
Did he have any medical issues or?
No, he admitted to being very tired.
No way. So what, like, why? Did he say because of the time change or was he out partying? Or?
I don't know.
Okay. And was there any passenger in the car?
No, not that I know of.
And was he injured? Was he taken to the hospital?
No, he was just sleeping at the stoplight.
Oh.
He was sleeping at a stoplight.
Yeah. In an intersection.
He was taken to the hospital.
Oh, was it taken?
They thought it was going to be an impairment investigation.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
So he was taken to the hospital, but he wasn't no injury?
No, they thought it was going to be an impairment investigation, but there's no medical either.
So did the bus hit him or?
There was no collision.
Oh.
No, the bus driver just reported. Yeah, behind me, sitting there.
Literally sleeping.
Yeah, did that quick. Yeah.